You're listening to the Hearing Jesus for Kids podcast, and I'm your host, Rachael. This is a show for kids to help them really know who God is. Imagine with me for a moment if you were trying to explain a puppy to someone who had never seen a puppy. You'd be talking about fur and four legs and a fluffy tail and maybe pointy ears. But for someone that had never seen a dog before, it might be pretty hard for them to understand what you're even talking about. Or one time, I had a friend who was in Africa, and I was trying to explain to him what cotton candy was. It felt so silly to explain that to him. It's fluffy, and it's sweet, and it's different colors, and when you put it in your mouth, it disappears. It can be hard to know what something is without first seeing it, right? Well, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about something similar, and it's called faith. Do you know what faith really means? Well, it has to do with believing things before you actually see them. While it took some convincing, my friend did eventually believe me about the cotton candy, and he really wanted to come to the United States so he could try it. That's one kind of faith. He took faith in me and what I had to say, and he trusted that I was telling him the truth. So when we talk about faith in the Bible says that faith is the assurance of things hoped for and believing in what we don't see. The thing about faith is sometimes you might eventually see, but sometimes not. Today we're talking about faith because Jesus talked about faith. And actually, our lesson today has to do with faith and touching things. Jesus did a lot of amazing miracles while he was on earth, and many of them had to do with laying hands on people and touching them. Today, I'm talking about a story where Jesus laid hands on a little girl and healed her. Let's read. I'm reading from Mark 5, starting at verse 21. It says, "When Jesus had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him while he was by the lake. Then one of the synagogue leaders named Jairus came, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He pleaded earnestly with him, 'My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live.' So Jesus went with him." I'm going to skip down to verse 35. It says, "While Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. 'Your daughter is dead,' they said. 'Why bother the teacher anymore?' Overhearing what they said, Jesus told him, 'Don't be afraid, just believe.' He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion with people crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, 'Why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead, but asleep.' But they laughed at him. After he put them all out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him, and he went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, 'Talitha cum,' which means, 'Little girl, I say to you, get up.' Immediately, the girl stood up and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. At this, they were completely astonished. He gave strict orders not to let anyone know about this, and he told them to give her something to eat. See, this man was a ruler in the synagogue, and the thing about that is usually the rulers in the synagogue were against Jesus. But this ruler, Jairus, he knew that Jesus could help him. By the time that Jesus arrived at this man's house, his daughter had actually died, and the people were already crying for her. They were so sad. But you know what? Nothing is too hard for God. Jesus went to this little girl and said, 'Oh, she's only sleeping. Get up.' And she got up and was alive again. It just took a word from Jesus. See, Jairus believed that Jesus could heal his daughter and was pleading with him to come to his house. When a person believes that God can do something, that is faith, and faith pleases God. You know, this is an amazing story, and it reminds us of the power of Jesus. But it's important to recognize something else as well. Sometimes we have to trust in God and have faith, even when we don't understand what he's doing. Sometimes that means trusting his timing, even if it feels different than what we want. Sometimes that means our healing or the healing of someone we love doesn't happen when we want it to, or it might not even happen this side of heaven. But we have to trust that God is still in control. That's faith. And when it comes to healing, even if we don't see a physical healing like the one in the story, we have to remember that the healing Jesus has given us is the most important healing because he has healed our hearts. He has made a way for us to have a relationship with God, and that is the most important thing. We can have faith that God keeps his promise to always be with us no matter what. Let's pray. God, we thank you for the faith of Jairus and how we see faith pleases you. Lord, I pray for my friends, even now, to have the kind of faith that pleases you. We love you, Lord, and we believe, even though sometimes we can't see what you're doing, we trust you. I thank you and praise you in all things. Amen. Hey friends, would you like to ask me a question? Maybe you have a question about God or the Bible or something we talked about on the podcast. Well, if you go to the link in the show notes, you can actually call me and leave me a message. And you know what? You may even hear yourself on a future episode. If you would like to extend the conversation, I invite you to join our Patreon. For just $5 a month, you get ad-free episodes and family discussion guides that are created to help you have conversations around faith that will help your family grow spiritually together. You can check it out at the link in the show notes.
Greetings and God bless. This is Tyler Burns.
And this is Dr. Jamar Tisby.
And we want to invite you to check out our podcast, Pass the Mic, Dynamic Voices for a Diverse Church.
Pass the Mic has been speaking directly to the core concerns of Black Christians for over a decade.
On our show, we've got interviews from theologians, historians, actors, activists, and so much more.
Not to mention heartfelt, open dialogue on some of the heaviest issues facing the church in the United States.
Be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you there on the next Pass the Mic.